Welcome to Joy Asonye Live this beautiful evening. Today we are discussing something very important. Just like you, I'm sure you must have listened to people say over and over, the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. I know in Nigeria we've bastardized that and made so much fun of it, but we need to get the youths on track to ensure that we have that development in our society that is much needed. And today we'll be concentrating on that, talking about youth contributions to sustainable development. And in the studio with me to discuss all of this is Sijuade Adeyeye. He is the Organized Youth and Leadership Development Network founder of that organization, that is Told Network. But we're going for a short break to return to discuss more, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that. Like I said earlier, we have Sijuade Adeyeye, Told Network founder. Again, I welcome you to the studio.
Thank you, Joy, for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure too. You look very African this evening. So thanks for coming.
Yeah.
But let's go straight before we, like I started earlier, the youth are the leaders of tomorrow, and young people have understood that. However, are they equipped with the requisite leadership skills to be these leaders? That's the conversation we'll be having. But first of all, Told Network, what's that all about?
All right, thanks so much. Told Network is an organization that is all out to establish the youth. That is, we are into youth and leadership development. Some years ago, but in 2015, I was in a very terrible situation. What was this situation? I saw the way things were going south in our nation, especially in my local community, when there is gross underdevelopment, where you have bad roads, and then some common amenities that people ought to enjoy are not there. So over the time, I've been brooding on these particular problems. So, and I came to understand that, okay, the work of development, that is national development, is not the sole responsibility of those who are in government alone. Everybody has something to offer. So by the time you begin to harness what those people have to offer, that is, every young person has something in him to offer. So we created Told Network that, okay, let's begin to orientate the mind of the young people, that they are not just the leader of the what do you call it now, the leaders of tomorrow. They are also the leader of today, because the future is not in the future. The future is here. Now. If you don't know how to prepare now for that future you're anticipating, it will be difficult for you to translocate yourself into that particular future. So we said everybody has something to offer. If we begin to interact with these young people, and then we begin to pump into them a sense of responsibility, that take responsibility wherever you belong, wherever you find yourself, begin to take responsibility, begin to think of solutions, begin to think of what you can do to make your community and your society better. So that was how Told Network was birthed.
Okay, that's a very important one, dude.
Thank you.
So how has it fared so far when it comes to you're doing something different? You're charging young people to take responsibility. That's something a lot of people would frown at, because we are often very used to pushing the responsibilities to every other person but ourselves. So what's the reception been like with your noble agenda of take responsibilities, and you too can contribute to this development we all want?
Yes, thank you. We have enjoyed a great level of acceptance wherever we have been to. Anywhere we go to and we introduce that, okay, this is our vision. This is what we have brought to the table. We have enjoyed a large acceptance, in the sense that not many people are doing what we are doing. All right. You see, so it's like we are fulfilling a dream of certain people. So when you go to people, especially some other generation, some other people, you explain your vision and ideas to them. They feel that this is a missing link. This has been the vacuum over the years. And then we are happy that someone has risen up to begin to fill this particular vacuum. So we have enjoyed acceptance, very large acceptance, and today the network is building up. We are enlarging. We started, I think, with about a group of 7 people, but today we are more than 200 that are actively involved, apart from those who are anticipating to be part of it or who are following us outside. But when we are talking about active engagement, those who are part of those driving the wheel of this initiative, we have enjoyed large acceptance.
And you can say it's national now?
Yes, it is national. In fact, it is global.
Global?
Yes. How do I mean? Because we have members of our network who are not just localized, but they are global. So we have a global perspective. It's only that in operation, we started in our locality, and then the templates of Jesus Christ, when he told his people, say you shall start in your Jerusalem.
Right.
Yeah, in Judea, in Samaria, into the uttermost part of the earth. So it's a long journey, and it's actually a vision that transcends my person. It's a transgenerational vision, and then we are not in a hurry to get the vision fulfilled. So we progress day by day as it goes, but we have a global perspective that we are starting local.
Okay. Now, what are those challenges? I'm sure you must have faced some challenges in your bid to, expand and get this message to everyone. What are the experiences you've had with young people, and the challenges you would say you've had?
All right. We've been moving step by step, precept by precept. Now, the challenges are not really challenges per se. Maybe you say, okay, we don't have access to enough funds, all right? But that is not even a challenge, because the more step we take in actualizing a certain goal, those resources begin to come in. So I think what we need largely is that we still need more time. We need speed.
So you are giving yourself the time, understanding that the funds will come. Yeah, that's surely a very optimistic way of looking at everything.
Yeah, surely funds will come, because sometimes we give ourselves that excuse that there is no fund, and if you don't, before you know it, your vision dies. You just go and sleep. You say there is no fund to drive your vision. But in my experience so far, each time we take a step and say, okay, let's go ahead with this initiative, fund definitely follow. But the challenge is just time, because you have to follow time. You don't just do anything anyhow. You have to be calculative and be strategic enough to forge ahead. So there are not really big challenges as it were.
Now let's talk about the kind of initiatives that you are driving forth to ensure young people are participating, and it is, like they say, it's not just entering coconut heads. These are people who would really go out there and live the things you are trying to impact.
Exactly, and that is where the issue of orientation comes in. If it is not in your head, if it is not in your heart, you can't act it out. And that is why this vision is not a vision you carry out in a hurry. People, you have to get like minds, people who share similar values with you, people who owe some ethical values like you, bring them together as a network. Then you begin to foster what is called mentoring. It's difficult. Cultural problems are not what you build up in a day. They are built up in centuries. All right. And for you to brainwash people, I'm using that word in the positive perspective now. For you to brainwash people, it takes time. So we have to give you that time and that effort in driving out what we are looking out to get.
Okay, what are the kind of initiatives you use to drive it forth? Is it just trainings or summits that you organize for young people? How do you ensure it comes into their head and heart, like you mentioned earlier?
Exactly. Well, we organize trainings, we organize conferences, we organize summits, and then we also have a conversational forum, places or a place where we have a conversation together. For instance, in 2016, we started our first leadership boot camp, and we felt, the word boot camp is a military word. When you just first recruited new recruits,
okay,
you take them to a camp where they call it boot camp, where you orientate them, where you brainwash them. Let me use that word again, so that when you see the loyalty in military, you know that this thing is a result of certain orientation.
That they
it's a
have
result of certain
right.
values that they have gotten to them. So we organize once in a year leadership boot camp. We call it Toad Leadership Boot Camp. We do that consistently. We have done it consistently for about 8 years now. We started in 2015. And then so another approach to it is that we bring out thought leaders, those who have been established, whether in the nation or wherever they are doing well, and then we share similar and common value together. We bring them up to stage, come and speak to the people, come and present yourself as a picture, because pictures speak louder than anything.
Exactly.
So we present these leaders as pictures. We bring them, come and tell us your story, come and tell us your experience, come and tell us what you have learned over the years. So with this, something is dropping in the heart of people. Now, the result will not be tangible on the outside, unlike when you want to build an infrastructure.
Exactly.
And then
you can't see the changes that is happening in the person.
It's a gradual process. It's a mind thing. Something is changing in their mind. And you never can tell whether tomorrow someone who has attended a boot camp or a training modules may become the governor tomorrow, the president tomorrow, the senator tomorrow. So what you have imbibed in them, the values, the character, and the qualities, be unknowingly to them, they begin to manifest it out. So another one is also what we call leadership, governance and leadership summit. I beg your pardon. Governance and leadership summit. Now this is actually geared towards raising people to actively participate in governance. And not just that, but to participate effectively and bring out the needed results we want. So that is what governance and leadership summit is all about. And interestingly, we are bringing it to Abuja for the first time this year. All right, we've been doing it in Lokoja. We've done it twice, 2018 and 2019. We also brought people who are in leadership, who are in governance, like commissioners, SSAs, and then some heads of organizations. We brought them to come and speak on leadership, speak on governance, just inspire us. We never know what someone can catch.
Exactly.
The fire someone can catch. So,
but I want to hear about this boot camp. Is it something you do nationwide, or is it just in Lokoja you've been doing it? And who can participate when you organize this?
Yeah, very interesting question. Just like I said, we have a global perspective.
Right. Have you, when you say global, have you had it anywhere outside Nigeria?
No.
Not yet.
No. But what do you call it now? When the world is a global village.
Of course.
I'm here now locally, but I'm being viewed all over the world.
Exactly.
All right. So one thing we have imbibed and inculcated into our programs and events is to make it live, so that people can access it anywhere. For instance, the one we had January 2nd this year, 2023, we had a guest speaker who spoke with us from the UK. All right. And so we are global in our perspective. We are starting with the resources we have, and with the people we have and the people we know, but we have a global perspective. The door of the globe has to open to you. If it doesn't open to you, you can't push yourself.
You have refused to tell me where this bootcamp often happens.
Oh, thank you. I missed that actually.
Right.
It's been happening in a place called Yagbaland in Kogi State. Now, Kogi is divided into 3 senatorial districts.
Right.
You have the Kogi East, Kogi Central, and the Kogi West. Because I come from Kogi West, so our events have largely been holding in Kogi West. And what is the factor about this, or what's the factors responsible for this? You have to start with what you have. You start with the people you know, and before you know it, things begin to go. Now, the reason why we are coming to Abuja to do GLS now is because we have people who have scattered, and then who can plan it very well, and then say, okay, there's a room for us in Abuja, let us come to Abuja. So it has been happening. We have done it in Odori. The first edition was held in Isonlu.
In where?
Isonlu.
Isonlu.
There's a town called Isonlu in Kogi State. The first one held in Isonlu, that was Egbe. That was the first one that I had, 2016. Second one, third one, Isolu. Then we had another one at Odore, the local government headquarters. And then we also had one at Mopamuru local government also. So these 3 local governments, we have been moving in cycle, touching the youth in these nooks and crannies to ensure that people get to understand what leadership is all about.
But you have more local government. Are we going to, and states, and this is something you're thinking should go global. And you have said that you started from home and it is cascading. Now, do you think it has gotten to a point where you no longer go in circles in local governments, but you go in circles in states across Nigeria? And what would the next edition be? Where would it be if you have to get the cat out of the bag?
You know why I'm laughing? This is a thought-provoking question you are bringing to me. You are challenging me now. That
it was not my intention to challenge you, my
guy. Leave your comfort zone and begin to spread out. Yes, we will do that. And we have to be thoughtful in whatever we are doing. We have to be introspective, and then we have to ensure that there's an acceptance wherever we are going to. You have people, because it's not cheap to organize an event. You need people. In fact, any value that will come out in anybody's life is going to come in, or in any organization is going to come out because you have people who are actively involved and engaged in whatever you are doing. So what we have been doing over the years is that we have been building a network.
Okay.
And then this network is no longer located in our locality. In fact, we made one mistake when we started.
Which was?
The name of our organization used to be the Okun Youth and Leadership Development. Okun is a tribe. And when I started, I was trying to be humble in myself. I said, don't be too overblown.
Right. So you started
so it from start. So we put it a name, but that name actually put a cap on us. We couldn't grow beyond that name. So some of my friends and so people began to challenge me and said, hey guy, we want to participate in this thing, but we are not from
Okun
this
Youth
tribe. So how should we? So I came back to my stakeholders.
At this point, was it registered?
Okay, at that point it wasn't registered yet.
Right.
So that we still give us a room and windows for flexibility. It wasn't registered yet. It was registered, I think, 2020 or 2021. All right. So before then, so people began to say, we love what we are doing, but we are handicapped. We can't participate because of this cap we have put upon it. So, by the way, I have interesting and powerful stakeholders that have identified with this vision.
Wow.
So I went to them again, what should we do? And they came up with suggestions and with brilliant ideas. So we already built a brand which was Toad. People already know us as Toad. So how do we still maintain this brand so that we don't just change it abruptly? So that's how we change that Okun to organized. So organized has something to do with leadership. A leader must be organized.
Let me understand how it was told in the first place. Okay. Was it the Okun Youth and Leadership Development Network?
Exactly.
Okay, so you now changed
network.
to okay.
So
that makes a lot of sense. But you just talked about funding for this. It must be expensive to organize a boot camp, especially when you're talking about a niche where some of them cannot afford to pay for accommodation, pay for feeding, and pay for the kind of resources they come to get. So how do you ensure funding?
That's another interesting question, and I love it. Our funding comes from within.
From within members?
Within members and members of the network. Before we had a large network, I have a personal network, friends. People who believe in me, people who believe in the vision. So I saw the vision to them. I said, this is what I'm doing. Come and be part of it. And by the time I explicitly explained the vision, they were happy to be part of it. So people began to respond financially. Those who will drop 5,000 naira, 30,000 naira, in fact 500 naira. There's a young lady in our network. She used to be a secondary school student. As little as 500, she offered,
right? So
all these things we gather together, and then we are out to tell the truth. So if you are getting your funding in an unjust manner or in a way, I don't know how to put it now, but there are some people that want to fund your organization, fund your vision, and they want to take ownership of the vision.
Right.
They want to take the preeminence. They want to dictate the
direction of
the direction of it. All right, but it's not like that, because this thing is coming from within. So people begin to give, they give, and before you know it, we have enough and more than enough for what we have.
And that's how you've been sustaining the program so far.
Exactly. And that's why it's interesting to build a network. You have to build people. When you build a network, people will trust you. Before people commit to your vision, they have to trust you first. They have to follow your life and your journey. If you are not someone that is trusted and cannot be accountable, you are not reliable, nobody will participate in what you are doing. So I think over the years, that's what I've observed from the people who participate in the funding of this.
Right. And the people who participate in the resource persons, are there people also that you vet that have this character? Because you must look at who is coming to teach me. Unless people like me who is very analytical and I must vet you to be able to understand that, okay, for someone like this who over the years I have Googled you also or whatever, and I can tell that you have the integrity necessary to speak to young people. So how do you get these resource persons? Is it mentors you call them? How do you get them to that fit into the message you want to send?
I love that question again. How do we source for our resource persons? First of all, they must be people who are known in the society. They must be people who have proven character. They must be people who are trustworthy. They must be people who are role models. They must be exemplary leaders in the community. And we will know them. And one of the ways we know them is via interaction.
Exactly.
Via feedback. And I am such a person that listens a lot. In fact, some of the outstanding breakthroughs we've had in this organization is because I listen to people. No matter how small you are, I will listen to what you have to offer your idea. And the people around me are one of the most fantastic people I've ever met. They will bring brilliant ideas to the table. I say, okay, this person. And when I'll go and do my homework, I'll reach out to them. I will thank God we have internet today. I'll reach out to them and I will research about them before I go ahead. So anybody that is recommending anyone to us, we will let them know our value. We cannot bring someone who is anti, who has what word should I use now? Who has a contrary value to what you are doing. We can't bring such persons in. So we vet your life. What have you been doing? What is your outstanding contribution and principles? Your values, all right? And let me quickly say this. The last boot camp we held, somebody suggested someone to me, and the person that suggested is a well-respected person, but the person suggested, he didn't go down well with me because I know who this person is. I know what he stands for in the society. Now, because he has a name and the position, and that's why we are not bamboozled by position.
Right.
We want to know what to carry into that, because leadership is not about title. It's not about occupying a position. It is about making outstanding contributions. So we want to know what outstanding contributions have you made in wherever they have placed you. So we look at the result of your life and what you have to show for it before we get involved. Because what we are selling is value.
Exactly.
If our value is corrupted, we have nothing again to sell. All right. So we bring people who uphold this value over the years, come and speak to us. And then so that we can also catch this value when we enter into any positional leadership, we can do well.
Okay, I think it's a good time to go for a short break right now. We've gone half hour into the conversation, but so much more to discuss. Leadership training. After that, what? Especially in a country where young people think opportunities and do not abound for them. And after that, when you get this training and boot camp, especially from the Told Network, how do I exhibit all I have learned? Promises to be interesting, so stay tuned. After this short break, we'll get back into the conversation. Welcome back from that short break. In the studio with us right now is still Sijuade Adeyeye, the founder Told Network. That's the Organized Youth and Leadership Development Network. I thank you for staying with us and discussing what you've been doing, but I just want us to go to this leadership and development mentorship you've been giving young people. My question would be, so what they get all of this? When you look at our political terrain, it looks like it's too strong, strict. I'm not sure what really fits in. It looks like it's a predators and preys kind of an arrangement, or kill or be killed kind of arrangement. Are you equipping them for political leadership, or you cascade it over every other part of leadership qualities they need to thrive in life?
All right, thank you so much. That's another important question I love to hear. Now, our initiative is geared towards general leadership.
Right.
Unfortunately, when people hear leadership, they think that it is only in politics. They think they are limited to political leadership. But that's an error. Political leadership is not all there is to leadership. If you have political leaders and you don't have leaders elsewhere, things will still go horrid. All right. So, but from your question, to be specific, training and mentoring leaders into politics or into political leadership is also part of what we are doing. Why? Because it is in politics or in governance that you have an expanded impact level.
Exactly.
All right. You have resources at your disposal to impact and influence people. All right. Interestingly, there are some people they call leader today. My leader, my honorable, who are not honorable. All right. So if you
your
are
excellency,
not, your excellency,
excellent.
who are not excellent. All right. So we are looking at this loophole too. How do we inject people into this sector? So political leadership is also part of our aim, part of what we are building. People into, right. But not limited to political leadership.
Yeah. But my question, it was a hydro-headed question, and I wanted you to address the fact that a lot of times when we look at our political landscape, we think it is too murky, to dabble into. Are you also giving them that doggedness that is expected in the Nigerian political landscape?
All right, that's great. One of the attributes of leaders is resilience and doggedness. Political space is a very, very tense space.
Well, yeah.
That if you are not well prepared, you can be submerged, and drown in what is going on. But part of the things we are also doing is to train people to be able to be sustained in that place. And how do we do this? We bring people who are leading inside the waters of politics. How are you swimming? How are you surviving in these murky waters? All right. So we bring them, come and teach us how you are going about it, right? Because you can't bring somebody to come and teach us what you have not experienced. Right? So we bring experienced people who we know are doing well in that place. Come and tell us the strategies to surviving in this place. And one of the idea of Toad Network is also to raise a large network of people that will go into all the fields. Imagine we have raised sufficient number of people who are going into politics, who are into governance. How do you think they will behave? Do you think they will behave anti who they are? Would they behave against the value they have built up over the years? All right. So political leadership is also part of our aim and goal, and that's one of the reasons why we are organizing governance and leadership summit coming up this Saturday.
I mean, we keep talking about young people in governance, and I would like to ask you now, if you look at the past elections that happened, while a lot of people congratulated youth for emerging in several positions better than some years back, some of us think we should have more young people actively in governance. We didn't see that much, but appreciable difference. But what would you say hinders young people when it comes to the elections? And bearing in mind you come from Kogi State, where it's even more tough, so what's your response to that?
Getting your young people involved in governance. You say we have not seen much, especially in this present. What has been the bottlenecks and the setback? Maybe one, the number, there has been a lot of policies maybe in the past that were against youth participation in governance.
Right.
And I think one of them was reversed by the former president, as he not too young
to run bill.
So he brought down, he brought down the age of people who can participate in politics, who can be interested in elective positions, and that's actually awakened the youth, and then you can see more participation. You know, before now, youth have not been actively involved in positional leadership when it comes to politics. All it just is that they use the youth as a tool for bringing the older people in. All right, but we are waking up now. There are phenomenal young people in the nation who are doing well, and even outside the country. So with this, when they begin to get interested in it, and you can't be brought into what you are not interested. I know the nature of politics is that it is complex.
Right.
It is complex. You can't just say, okay, all the youth come into my cabinet.
Right.
No, you have to do a little bit of compensation. There are people who work for you, all right. Many of them are older people. You must compensate them, and that's the nature of our politics in Nigeria. But I think I see sincerity in intention of this present administration. From
the president's level, the national level.
Yes, I think I've seen some involvement of young people. They have been bringing them in
the cabinet, right?
In the cabinet, and I think the future holds for something for us.
Right. And so, having said that, let's talk about young people's readiness. Actually, is one thing to advocate for young people to run. It's another thing to have them indeed interested and ready to actually be that beam and that light that we hope to have. Do we have young people who are ready for governance, who are ready for sustainable development, or it is just like we often see bragging rights? I held this position, or you have personal interests for your pocket, like we've seen over the years.
All right, thank you so much. I can say yes, the youth are ready. They are ready. Why? Because we have fresh perspective to bring into the table. Okay, when you're talking about energy and strength, we have it as young people. We are talking about innovation, we have it as young people. If you are talking about education, if you are talking about digital literacy, we have it as young people. And then many of our problems today need digital approach.
Well,
so if you said, well,
it needs digital approach, but yes, where is Nigeria when it comes to actually moving towards achieving this digital revolution that we dire and honestly really need?
Yes, that's part of the reasons why youth are getting involved. When you have people who are digitally literate, you bring them on board, they will certainly introduce digital approach and strategies to governance. You can't bring somebody who's operating on analog and ask the person to bring in digital output. You can't get that. It's garbage in, garbage out. What you put in is what you take out. All right. So there are many young people who are prepared, who have been preparing, and then with time, they'll begin to be relevance with them. You begin to see relevance in this youth and in the political space. And I think it's starting like a revolution.
Right.
Sometimes revolution is like a spirit is spread over the places, and then you just see youth begin to rise up and then say, okay, we can do this thing. And if you don't insist, they say power is not served, power is taken. And then it's not that it's taken by force. I'm not talking about forcefully taking power now, but strategically taking power. I think the youth are getting set. The
youth are getting set. Exactly. That's according to you.
But
a lot of people listening to you right now would say we've had instances where young people have not necessarily been interested in the entire governance. For some of us who are technology savvy to an extent, it sometimes I get devastated and frustrated when things that should elicit conversations and engagement from young people is not. Everything is now very watered down, so to speak. Conversations around it are not because coming from a place of information. It's pundits that's going on, and people just form opinions and run with it. that interest that we need to have, we don't really see it, especially on social media. So what does that tell for the future of this youth? You seem very optimistic that youths are ready, but some of us want to have proper conversations about governance, proper conversations about what's going on. And you just watched the past elections. It was really terrible what was going on. People ran off with conversations that weren't true. They allowed themselves to be divisive, and there was campaign of calumny. It was really terrible. But Nigeria is strong, and Nigeria stood through all of that. But you seem very optimistic. I am not as optimistic that young people are indeed as ready as you say.
Yes, I am optimistic because that is what we are involved in. You know, this problem is a problem of orientation. You can't give what you don't have.
That's true.
And then whatever you are giving is because you have it. If you have violence in you, that is what you can give. If you have peace in you, that is what you can give. All right. So I'm happy because we have people who are filling in the gap. National orientation, reorientating the mind of the youth to take responsibility. Popping. If you have enough values, if you have appropriate values in you, you won't run with wrong narratives. All right. And that's why such conversations like this are very, very interesting and very, very important. Someone watching us now is catching something when you talk, when you're talking about the narrative of the youth. So our conversation must be highly intellectual, and it must be valuable. All right. So I think that is what I have to say on that.
Okay. Now you talked about an event you have coming up.
Yeah.
I would like to know more about this event and how young people can participate in it and what they stand to gain participating in the event. So you start with what it is tagged and all that.
All right. We call it Governance and Leadership Summit. And Governance and Leadership Summit is a non-partisan event. All right. And what we do is that we want to promote good governance. We are not pointing accusing fingers at anybody. We are not pontificating on the present government, but we are more futuristic in our approach. Just like I said when I started, you never can tell someone can attend our event and then maybe in the next 10 years or in the next 5 years or in the next 20 years is in a strategic position. So Governance and Leadership Summit 2023 will be holding at Yana Apartment at Utako this Saturday, and we are starting by 10 a.m. and then, you know, we have tagged it Governance and Expectations.
Okay. Governance
and Expectations. So there's going to be robust conversation around governance and how we should manage our expectations from the government. And you know, when you know what is expected of you as a leader, you can better position yourself for it. So if I know what is expected of me by tomorrow or by next week or by next month or by next year, what will I start doing? I start preparing myself, building up myself to meet up with that expectation. And that's the focal point of this year's event. And interestingly, we have good leaders that will be speaking for us. We have 3 guest speakers. One of them is the secretary of the EFCC.
Okay.
That's Dr. George Epungu. And one of them is Bashorun Kayode Adeyeye. He's also one of the head of the directorates in ICPC. All right. Then we also have Madam Olamikwosi Macaulay, which is also one of the head in AMCON. All right. So I'm optimistic about what they have to offer us. There's going to be a robust conversation
around it.
And then we're also going to give room for interactions,
questions
and answers at that event. I hope to see you there.
I will be there. I mean, I want to hear more about governance, good governance and leadership, especially, you know, when we keep talking about how we can hold government accountable. We can't have good governance if the citizens are not interested in what's going on and how and we are not holding government accountable. But if you have to give us a sneak into what you think or how you think citizens can better hold government accountable, what would you suggest, and are we already doing that as we speak? Do you think the civil society organizations are indeed holding government accountable?
All right, I think holding government accountable, first, we must have accountable leaders, must have accountable governance. That is, whatever you are set to do, your vision for your administration, let it be clearly defined to the people. All right, that is what will hold you accountable for. You need to release enough data that people can analyze. And then I think I'm talking from the perspective of the government now. Now roll out data for us. What are the things, your budget?
Exactly.
And then I think to also be accountable, you can get people involved, because involvement is part of accountability. Your constituents, get them involved in your planning process. Let them know what you are up to. All right, and then the populace, when some of the things you can do is also to organize a town hall meeting for people, or dispense information to people. So when people have this information, then the civil society can hold them accountable. And I think we have civil society groups and many organizations who are demanding and insisting that government should do certain things, but it must be done peacefully and in a wise and strategic manner. In a wise and strategic manner, but
the success rates, is it enough to brag about what we already do?
I don't think we are doing much. We are doing enough, but there's still much that can be done. But when we are intentional about what we are doing, we must have correct expectation from leaders. There are many people who are not expecting anything. Some people have good expectation, but the means to demand and insist, the means to seek for accountability from the government is not there. So the government who is supposed to be accountable can make these means available, like freedom of information. Let your information be free
out
to people.
there.
Be out there. Let us know what you are doing.
And there's an act that backs that up.
Okay. Yeah. There's an act that backs that up, right? So such acts and laws can be strengthened. And I think that's where national orientation ought to come in. If I don't know my rights, I might not be able to demand for accountability.
Right.
So let people who are saddled with this responsibility do their work, and I think things will begin to find shape.
Well, it's beginning to find shape, and I just hope that we have citizens who, are beginning to understand, because sometimes we have this conversation a lot here on the program where you don't even know what has been allocated in your local government. That is not information that's readily available to you.
Exactly.
You don't know the contract within your local government or your ward that has been awarded. And how can we ensure that moving forward we have people who would make sure this happens? When elections were during campaign season, we did not interrogate and demand all of this from our candidates. So it's difficult to now ask of it now to say, you know what, you just have to be transparent, when we did not, it wasn't asked for.
That's true. When there is an agreement, when both of you started something together, it is easier to demand and insist. And
exactly.
And that's why our campaign nature, the nature of our campaign in this nation, is not something that is encouraging. You just come to the stadium or to the field, to the pitch,
make promises
and make promises
over and
over again.
Some of the promises are not achievable.
But because that is what we want to hear. I will give you this in 5 days in office. I will do this. I will do this. I will do that. And then we don't get to ask questions. How do you want to get this done?
Exactly.
And that is where we in Toad Network also came up with election interactive meeting.
Oh, there was such a thing.
Yes,
election interactive
meeting. It's part of our cardinal programs, town hall interactive meeting with candidates of elective positions. We had that. When was the election held in 2023?
That's February 25th.
Okay, February 25th. In January 2nd this year, we had it in Kogi State. That's the people vying for House of Rep in our constituency. We invited them. Come and tell us what you have to offer. First of all, did a lot of them honor these invitations? Okay. We had 4 frontliners, or 4 leading candidates.
Right.
All right. And then we extended our invitation to them. 2 of them came.
You extended to just 4?
To just 4.
Why not all 18?
Maybe I don't think we have up to 18 in that, considering that are contesting.
Okay.
Not all party
had fielded a candidate.
So,
right.
but the ones we know, we brought them in. But interestingly, two candidates appeared, and it was interesting. And then we attempted it in 2019. We invited same set of people, the people vying for the House of Representatives, and interestingly, none of them appeared. That's
the politicians in Nigeria I know and love.
But the people that attended this, it shows that these people, this is where we are going. This is the future.
Exactly.
All right. The people that didn't attend, no offense intended, no offense meant, but that this
offense
is
meant. What do you mean? I am offended that you will not take the opportunity for a town hall meeting that you did not organize to come talk about what you have planned.
Me, I'm not.
I want to just ask, among the two people that appeared, did any of them win?
Actually, none of them won.
Quite unfortunate. Now you see, if others had come, it was an opportunity to say, I want you to do this. This is what we are asking of you. What are your plans? But it doesn't fit into, or it's not relatable to our needs.
Exactly. So such interactive session give us room for accountability. Someone you ask questions during the campaign, whenever, for instance, if any of them are the match now, because of the relationship I've built with them, I can walk into their offices and say, sir, this is what the people are saying. What do you have to say, or what do you have to do concerning the plight of the
Sijuade, you don't have to have had that conversation rather with them. When you're ready, we will walk in. Just tell me who. We will walk in and demand what the office of the citizens really want. But it's wonderful to have you on the program today. I'd just like, before you go, to talk about that event that you have coming up. If you can just tell us again before we call it a wrap.
All right, Governance and Leadership Summit GLS Abuja is happening at Utako. That's a Yana apartment. The time is 10 a.m. on Saturday. That's next tomorrow. And we have few little incentive for participants.
Okay.
And then we also have, there's going to be tea break and refreshments. And then apart from that, there's going to be intellectual engagement. One of the things we have also packaged around that event is that there's going to be opportunity for networking. All right, we are bringing leaders, and then thought leaders, leaders of different organizations will be at that event. All right, so young people can interact with people and build network and see how it is going. So this Saturday, by God's grace, 10 a.m.
Is there pre-registration? Can anybody pre-register?
You can just
walk in, and it's free.
It's free, but the seats are limited.
Okay.
Right. I think we just have maximum of 100 seats. It's a commodious environment, and then we don't have too much. But
I hope there's a seat with my name on it.
If you insist and you pay for it.
I insist. I need a seat with my name on it. But thank you so much, Sijuade Adeyeye, the founder Told Network. Again, the Told Network is the Organized Youth and Leadership Development Network. Again, I thank you for being part of the program.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Right, and good luck on your program on Saturday.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
This is where we round it up on today's edition of Joy Asonye Live. It's been wonderful knowing that you've been there with us. We'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned. It promises to be interesting as usual. Have a wonderful evening.